There's one story that sticks out in my mind. We were at practice here. I was on the sideline next to Sean. Sean was running the clock. And for some reason, we had plenty of subs. Coach decided that he wanted to step in and play with us. We were running 5-on-5 full court. Next thing you know, Coach was down on the ground, like full-on belly flop. And we didn't know whether to laugh or to be like, oh no, Coach is not okay. And then he immediately gets up and starts yelling at one of the girls. And come to find out a few days later, he ended up, I think, breaking his hand. It was swollen. He wasn't sure. But the funniest thing was, I mean, we were just like, I don't know if he's okay. But he immediately gets up and just starts yelling at somebody for not doing something. And it was probably the funniest thing that happened.
For as long as Coach has been coaching, he's maintained an amount of energy in practice. And, it varies between the practices. If we're having a really bad practice, that energy comes out. I can remember one time he drop kicked the ball across the gym. It was, all the bleachers were pushed to the side. I think it might have been over Christmas break. And we must have been having a terrible practice. I can just remember him drop kicking the ball, but it didn't actually go. I think he had to do it twice to get it all the way across the gym and then, left. And it leaves us looking at each other kind of like, should we keep practicing or should we leave? I think we kept practicing and, thought we could try to earn Coach's support back. And I think he came back like 45 minutes later.
I've always thought that Jim was going to need the help of a chiropractor on more than one occasion, because his initial reaction to some rather dubious calls by officials working games here has been to really smack his hands as hard as he can together and then stomp usually with the right foot. I figured he'd probably end up needing some treatment on the chiropractor's table to get realigned after all of that.
When I got into college coaching, I'd see him recruiting at tournaments, and he was always the guy that walked in with he had his padded seat back, that he'd bring his own chair into the gyms, because sitting in the bleachers and the wooden chairs and flat backs and all sorts of stuff was really uncomfortable sitting there for hours and hours. Everyone always kind of be like, make fun of him for walking in with his own chair, but then a couple hours later we're like, he's the smartest man in the whole gym.